All right.
Welcome.
I'm
It's
on.
it's the Trippin' Thompsons podcast, and this is episode number 11.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm your co-host, Victor.
And I'm Brickell.
Well, good to see you. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Gosh, we had a fun weekend. We have more recently ventured into the underground world of pickleball. So we got in several matches this weekend, and that was fun. So we've been doing some of that and explored some properties for real estate investing and found a couple of prospects I think we want to crunch some numbers on and dig into a little bit more just to make sure it's a viable option. But that's all good. And then here we are and kicking off a new week. How about you?
Kicking off a new week. That absolutely found out that pickleball, even though it's been around for a little while, but we really
Yes.
started playing it, just about maybe a month ago, maybe something like that. When
Yeah,
the
we
weather broke.
went on Mother's Day.
Yes. So that was literally then a month ago,
Yeah.
and having fun with it. It's a kind of a blast. We've been we've played multiple times since then, and we're enjoying it. Not quite ready to get the pickleball rating yet, but
I am.
You're ready for that.
Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
If you have to go out and get tested, then and speaking of being tested, the Minnesota Lynx keep getting tested, but they keep coming through prevailing. So they're sitting there undefeated.
Outstanding play. I mean, just they persevere.
That's correct. So, enjoying those things, right? Enjoying the fact that there's a lot to look forward to as we move into the month of June. I mean, we're kind of already getting into we're in the first third, but we're moving toward halfway, and time just kind of goes by like that. So
It does. And I want to give a shout out to two other people this past weekend who persevered. So any of you who follow tennis, one of the big tournaments was happening, one of the Grand Slams, the French Open. And so big kudos to Coco Gauff and also to Carlos Alcaraz. Thank you. Amazing matches to watch. So for Coco, she went 3 sets. She's ranked number 2. She beat number 1. So she's the reigning champion. So amazing. And then Carlos, also ranked number 2, beat the number 1. And on the men's side, went 5 sets and also broke a record for the longest match in the Open era. Anyway, amazing tennis this weekend. And also 2 people who are continuing to add multiple millions of dollars into their account. So, maybe people to reach out to for that business loan you're looking for.
Or just business investment. I mean, I'm kind of guessing they won't be candidates for what we're about to talk about today.
They won't be. What are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about using your 401k to help invest in your business. And we talked about business loans last week, and this is another alternative, which is oftentimes somewhat, well, I mean, how do most people respond to when they hear 401k to invest in your business?
I think there's probably people like having a meltdown right now and just screaming like, no, you don't touch this. It's kind of that vacuum that your money just kind of vanishes from your payroll and you don't see it, you don't touch it, right? You probably see it, you're monitoring it, thinking about how to make good decisions around it. But um, for many people, they've been conditioned that this is your retirement fund. Um, and it absolutely can be. And if this is your safety net for retirement, all respect to that. And you want to manage that carefully, but also know that there are ways that you can leverage your 401k to make money for you outside of it sitting in the 401k. So I think we want to explore that.
Exactly. So I mean, whether you're in real estate and you are flipping houses, or you're like our friends that we referenced last week who started a food truck, or even if you're about to like launch the next great AI tech business, we're going
Nice.
to break down options for you,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And even provide some examples, and talk about the pros and cons of different ways of leveraging your 401k.
Yeah. And so, I mean, here we are. We're going to bring to you four different options, you, the viewer. And, believe us that of these strategies, there's one that probably is a little bit of a hidden gem. I don't think it's really that well known, but we're going to get into that one. It's definitely one we've heard people say, I wish I knew about this sooner. And so we get it. But that's why we want to bring this content to you so that you're informed, you're aware, and you're able to exercise really good strategies to help build and grow your business. But before we jump into the first option around this, we want to remind you all to subscribe, to like, and share the episodes. We want to continue to build community. We want to make sure that we're getting good content out to as many people as we can, but we want to feel the love, right? So join us on this amazing journey, the Tripp and Thompson podcast, and let's go. So, Victor, what do we want to jump into first?
Let's talk a little bit just about the idea of using your 401k.
Okay.
And as you've already alluded to, people tend to get a little bit nervous. Um, it's kind of like you're going to light a match to their money and set it on fire. And certainly, as a caution, we're not saying that you should be like, wow, 401k money, let me go take it and start a business. No, we're not saying that. But what we are saying is that you should be exploring all your different options. If you have a business idea, you're passionate about it, and you really want to change the world with your business idea, well, sometimes this is an option that you should consider.
Yes, it really is. And we get it. Your 401k, it absolutely could be your retirement safety net. Um, Ideally, you've got other things in motion, especially things that provide cash flow in perpetuity would be amazing, but we'll get there in a different episode. Um, so if you do explore options within your 401k, and we'll uncover four of them today and do it strategically, it really could be something that can empower your ability to grow and scale your business. And we want to make sure that we're providing the risk measures that go along with them, because we don't want this to end up in a disaster area for you. We want you to be successful. We want you to make money. We want you to do the things that you want to be able to do in your business, with your business, and then for your life.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, it's as we jump into it, to keep in mind that as you are listening to these things, recognize what type of risk profile you carry for yourself. you know, on a continuum of extremely conservative and very risk averse to, hey, like no holds barred, put me at the craps table and let me gamble money away. Those are kind of extremes, and people tend to fall somewhere in between that. And so know yourself as we talk about this. So
Yeah. So then the first option is about totally cashing out your 401k.
yeah.
And yeah, yeah. That obviously sends some emotion probably to people who either couldn't fathom doing that to people who have done it before, and everything in between. So this option is truly, it's the simplest move to make, but it's also the most expensive. So knowing your risk tolerance, this is one that you could consider. But let's break it down. So just straight up cashing this thing out, um, you know, let me give everybody a visual with this as we're talking. So there's a couple of pros with this, that there's the immediate access to cash, and there are absolutely no restrictions on how you use it once that money is out and in your hands. However, this goes back to the most expensive option, there are cons to it. So if you are under 59 and a half years old, you will be hit automatically with a 10% penalty right off the top. And then after that, there are taxes that are imposed. Typically, they're taxed at a much higher rate. And so this is something you really want to get good guidance and advisement around, to understand of the money that you'd be taking out, how much will you actually net out of this? And does it make sense for the situation that you're in? It might be the right strategy for what you're trying to achieve in the moment. It also might be radically the absolutely wrong strategy. So know all of the ins and outs of this before you pull the trigger on this one. So as an example, let's say your 401k account is at $100,000. And after the 10% penalty, after taxes are taken out, what is handed to you would be a check of anywhere from like $50,000 to $60,000. It's that expensive to leverage this option. However, it is an option. And again, it might be the right option for you for the situation that you're in.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you needed the $50,000. It's costing you that 50,000 right up front. But if you can turn that 50,000 into something special, there's a situation with a gentleman by the name of Marcus who he cashed out 80,000 to start a car detailing business, and after half of it going to taxes and penalties, he scaled up his car detailing business and makes a lot more money now than he would have made in his regular day job. And so when you think about it, it's again thinking about this as an investment option, right? And in that particular case, there was like a great understanding, right? Because here's the warning: if you don't have almost 100% confidence in your business plan and your business idea, you probably should avoid this, right? Because you're going to take that huge hit. So you don't want to, and even if you are one of our listeners who, are 59 years old and 7 months, you don't get the 10% penalty, but you still have all the taxes you got to pay, right? So just keep that in mind. And the taxes are heftier, right? So
they are. Well, so then option 2 must get a little bit better, right?
Yes.
Okay.
In many ways, there is a little loophole that is known as the 60-day rollover rule, and that's true. When you cash out your 401k, you're gonna get 60 days to roll it over.
Roll it over.
And theoretically that means you are withdrawing your funds penalty free, as long as you either roll them into another like retirement account,
Mm-hmm.
or you return them back to this particular account. So that's why it's called rollover, because a lot of times people take their money and then they use it to move it into a different retirement plan, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but it doesn't mean you couldn't use it to fund a short-term cash flow gap in a business, or do some sort of real quick investing that would actually in your business, which would get a return, which would allow you to put that money back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the pros to it, because you can get it penalty free. I will say there's a caveat. There are many financial institutions, and so you should check this out first, that may decide that they want to withhold your tax tax amount prior to distributing the funds to you.
Yeah.
And so you want to check with them to make sure that that's not part of what they do
Mm-hmm.
with your particular institution that you're removing the money from. Okay. And then the cons are that if you miss the deadline, of course, the penalties and the taxes kick in, right? So, if you see that happening, or you think it might happen, try and put as much back as you possibly can. There was a situation with a woman named Sarah who took $50,000 out to cover a business emergency, which I'm pretty sure she felt like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be able to recoup this, but she wasn't able to do it in time. And because of that, she ended up owing the IRS a lot more money. And so that can be very detrimental to your business in those circumstances.
It sure can be. Yeah. Sometimes those situations, it's like borrowing from a loan shark, and those penalties are really steep and fast. So with this option, you really want to explore this option only if you absolutely know that that money is going to come back fast to you. So you're just covering a gap, basically. But there is a guarantee that that money's coming back fast. This is not something to gamble on. All right. So good one, though, 60 days for, thinking about doing that rollover option. And then going on to option number 3, this one's the self-directed IRA, SDIRA, as the full acronym is known by. And so this one lets you invest in your retirement funds in anything. So you could do this in real estate, in crypto, in your own business too. So a lot of flexibility when we think about the SDRA IRA. However, again,
that's a mouthful.
Yeah, for whatever reason in this moment, it really is for me. So let's talk about the pros and cons. So with the SDIRA, with the pros, that you can grow funds tax-free. That's pretty amazing. There's no penalties as long as this is structured correctly. So make sure you're getting good advisement from your financial advisor or from a business attorney. And then, of course, we got to call out the cons. With this option, with the SDIRA, you cannot pay yourself a salary from the business. You could pay other people in your business a salary, but not yourself. And so this is something that we need to think about. And an example we want to share with you, individual by the name of Dave rolled his 401k into a self-directed IRA to flip houses. And really cool, because he was, scaling and continuing to grow his business. He made a lot of money taking this approach. However, he could not touch the profits personally without penalty. He could take the profits and roll them back into another flip or another investment or another business, and just continue to repeat that. But just like anything, once you've made a profit from your business, there are going to be some sort of financial penalties that come with it by way of taxes. So again, talk to your accountant, talk to your business attorney to make sure you're really fully understanding this.
So, I mean, it sounds though like this could be a great growth strategy, right? I mean, it's like you're
Yeah.
trying to grow your business and you can continually put the money back in, and this is the way to first leverage it, right? So,
Right.
really great for investing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But if you need income, well, probably not so much, right?
Not so much.
You got to
No.
look at different ways to do that. And so we're going to bring up the fourth option, which is called rollover as business startup, which is a lot to say. So therefore, they shortened it to ROBS. Get it? So, and no, you're not actually robbing yourself, but it is, a way in which you are really taking advantage of all the different components of your 401k as an investment.
Mm-hmm.
So there are no penalties or taxes, just like with the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
And this method actually allows you to fund your business and pay yourself as a salary.
Mm.
So how are you going to say, right? Well, I mean, it's kind of a complex setup. And this one, you absolutely need someone who understands how to set it up. Typically, you need an attorney who's going to be able to help you, because you have to set your business up as a C corporation. And what that means is C corporation acts as its own entity, and therefore it's part of the reason why you can pay yourself a salary, because you become an employee of your company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's some examples, and one that we can point out is a woman named Lisa who used 200,000 of her 401k money to launch a bakery, and she did this without any IRS drama. She just needed to, make sure she understood what she was doing, and now she owns a very successful cupcake business. Now, there are going to be fees up front for, that you have to pay to get this done, obviously, because anytime you involve an attorney, you're going to have an attorney, and sometimes that can be expensive. And then there are also maintenance fees that continue on a monthly basis. So you do need to understand your risk and just make sure that you are totally aware of what this means for you when you set this up. But it does allow for you to fund your business and pay yourself.
Mm-hmm. It does, yeah. And so this is the one that we started out with, saying that it's kind of a hidden gem, and maybe not as many people are aware of it. And if it's the right thing for the move that you want to make for your business and how you want to invest, great, because this could be a really good opportunity for you. But again, get good guidance to make sure you're making the right decisions. So in addition to the options that we've mapped out with this particular one with the ROBS, we put together a free checklist that you can grab in the link, whatever platform you're on, grab it in the link below, and make sure that you're just leveraging that checklist, and whoever you're having conversation around as you're exploring this option, to check off the whole checklist, just to make sure that you've been very thorough in your thinking and conversation before making that decision. So,
yeah. Well, I think we presented 4 different options. And so what you have to understand is what's the best move for you, right? Remember, there's your risk profile, which tells you kind of how much risk are you willing to take. And then look at your business and understand where you're at with your business plan, the confidence you have in your business. So if you need quick cash and you can eat the penalty, you could cash out your 401k.
Mhm.
You need an exact amount of money, and when you get done with everything, you can see that you would have that money available to you. That might make sense.
Mhm.
If you are in the midst of growing your business, and maybe there is a lot of times with when you start a business, there's startup costs, and there could end up being a short-term gap where you didn't actually see all the potential startup costs. And so you could leverage, the 60-day rollover concept
Mhm.
to actually fund that short-term gap so that you could then get through a difficult period and then start cranking out cash flow in your business. Um, if you are doing this more from an investing standpoint, and you're in growth mode, and you are putting money back into the business consistently, then doing the self-directed IRA approach could certainly work well. And then, if you want full access, no penalty, and you see that a C corporation could really work with your business, then the Rob's method is certainly a smart way to do this.
Yeah.
And we got a chart up there for
Mhm.
as a comparison reference for you. So.
Mhm. Yeah, so screenshot it, or come back and watch the episode a couple of times, and take notes on this, because again, a lot of viable options here that can help release cash for you, just kind of based on the needs of what you want to do and what your business needs. And don't want to close out the session without putting together some action plans and steps for everybody to take. So we want to make sure that you click on the link and download that Rob's checklist guide that's been prepared for you.
Mhm.
And then share comments with us and help us understand, have you leveraged your 401k before? Have you used maybe possibly a different method from the 4 options that we've mapped out, and how has that worked for you? Or maybe you're considering exercising rights with your 401k, and maybe this is all new to you and you weren't aware that you can tap into your 401k and use it for these different reasons. Share that with us also. We want to make sure that we continue to grow as a community and learn from one another. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like and share the episodes too. We want to continue to grow the community. And just as final takeaways, just a reminder, you want cash quick, you can do full on cash out. If you've got a gap that's, leaving you short, but money's going to be coming in, you could do the 60-day rollover option. If you're looking at investing, the self-directed IRA could be that option for you. And then what's considered the smartest move, again, it comes with contingency, so make sure you're aware of all those things, but gives you probably the most freedom to utilize that money, is the Rob's approach.
And so if this helps, as Raquel was talking about before, please share it, like it, follow us, subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, in the link below, right?
Yeah.
So until next time, or do you have anything to add before I say again, until next time?
Just happy investing, and your business is waiting for you to help stimulate it, to grow it, or to even just get it started. And these are ways that you can do those things. Be wise about your decision making, but believe in yourself, put yourself out there, and start being an entrepreneur. Grow that business. Let's go.
All right, keep tripping forward towards success.
Let's do that.
And we're out.
Next time.